Hey everyone, Tom Black here with the True Life with Tom show here on YouTube. I am joined by Mr. Fire, Dr. Joe Vitale. So I wanted to tell you all how excited I am to be here. If you don't know, Dr. Joe Vitale was actually homeless in Dallas at one time, and today he's the author of over 90 books. He starred in over 30 movies, including the hit movie The Secret, which is where I learned about him. And he is a musician with 15 albums out right now. He's also received the U.S. President Lifetime Service Award in 2004 and the Los Angeles Tribune Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. His own movie, Zero Limits, which is outstanding, was released in 2025 and has won 27 film awards, surpassed over a million in views this past week. He's helped millionaires, billionaires, royalty, and amazing humans all over the globe. At age 71, he began MMA training and at the age of 72, received his blue belt in MMA. He knows the missing secret to success and wants to inspire the world to go for their dreams. Please welcome the man they call Mr. Fire.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
So, did I miss anything in the intro?
I can't imagine what. Very
Gotcha.
complete. Thank you very much for the highlight reel. I
Oh,
enjoyed
you're
it.
welcome. You're welcome. I learned about you when I watched The Secret for the first time in 2012, and I'm so blessed, grateful, and excited that I get to work with you and for you every day.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for you. So thank you. It's a winning team here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I have a couple really cool questions for you, and I just wanted to
Okay.
dive in, and we're going to do that now. But what I wanted to ask you when it comes to self-improvement or even working with a coach, what separates people who get the biggest results from those who struggle?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. And my research over decades, using myself as the guinea pig to begin with, because I was homeless and I was in poverty for 10 years. I was trying to do all the right things, reading all the right books, memorizing the success literature of the world. And here I was not really getting anywhere
Hmm.
until, until I had the breakthrough insight that I think answers your question. The people who get the most results don't work on the superficial level. They work on the deep dive where they get into the subconscious mind to find out what the hidden drivers are in their behavior. Because what we're getting in our life is a direct result to what we are believing. But it's not our conscious beliefs that are running the show, it's the subconscious beliefs. It's that database of software of the mind that is actually causing us to do or not do various things. And what we're doing is creating what we're attracting. So the people who get the most success are doing the deep dive. They're actually going in beyond the conscious, deeper in there, and finding out, what do I really believe? Where did those beliefs come from? And they're doing the work of questioning beliefs, deleting beliefs, exchanging beliefs, or more empowering one. And then the other aspect of this that accelerates the results is working with a coach. I found this out the hard way because I was doing everything the Lone Ranger, John Wayne, do it yourself kind of approach that I grew up with. That's what I saw on TV. That's what I saw in my life. That's what I saw with my father. And I thought the only way to succeed and the right way to succeed was to do it alone.
Hmm.
Well, that's a recipe for failure. That is a recipe for stalling. That is a recipe for self-sabotage. That is a recipe for giving up and stopping. Doing it yourself is entirely possible. We know stories of people who have boosted themselves up, read the books, got the grit going, took action, and they can get results. But I found that there's an easier way and a faster way to get results, and it ties into that deep diving. Instead of doing it yourself, you get a mentor, you get a coach, you get somebody who is trained to listen to you in a neutral but objective and clear way and reflect back to you like a good mirror what you're telling yourself. Because we all live in this bubble of beliefs, but we don't know it because that bubble of beliefs seems like our reality. We just think this is the way the world is. No, it's not the way the world is. It's the way your world is based on your subconscious beliefs. You can find them and unravel them on your own, but it's a long, slow process because you're playing chess with yourself. You know your own moves. You can't really outsmart yourself. But when you get a coach, which I found the turning point to be in my own life, when you get a coach, when you have a mentor, you get somebody who can lovingly show you where the limitations are, where the limiting beliefs are. And once you get rid of those, then you can move forward. Some of the great results I've had in my life all came at an accelerated rate once I worked with a coach to deep dive into the beliefs I did not see, then remove those beliefs, and then you're free to go ahead and achieve, attract whatever the goals were. So the people who get the most success usually have a coach and usually do the deep dive into the subconscious beliefs.
Right. Well, that's amazing because I brought a number of amazing human beings from around the globe into the Zero Limits Living program,
That's right. That's
and
right.
they want to uncover, those things that are holding them back, so they can
Mhm.
bring to the fore what's for them. The next question I had for you is, how do you balance taking action with surrendering and allowing inspiration?
I've had that question a lot because I wrote a book a long time ago. It was the book that got me invited to be in the movie The Secret. And the book was called The Attractor Factor. The Attractor Factor, people still buy it, they still read it, they still talk about it. There's a five-step formula in there for attracting things in your life, but specifically with the book, wealth. But the fifth step is the one that confused the most people and caused them to write to me the most often. And the fifth step is let go while taking inspired action, which is what your question is all about. How do you
Mm,
let go and you're taking action? How do you not care while caring? Is another variation of that very same statement and same question. And what I'm talking about there is the psychological detachment of the result. You take action without needing the action to work out in a particular way. So you're dropping the attachment, you're dropping the addiction, and said in another way, you're dropping the fear of what's going to take place by taking inspired action. So you're taking inspired action because you have a intention, you have a goal, there's something you want to have, do, or be. That was actually one of the very first steps in the five-step formula. Let me go through it real quick because somebody's going to ask you at some point, what are the five steps in the attractor factor? So let
right.
me run through them real quick. The first step in the attractor factor is to know what you don't want. And I specifically created that because so many people would hear about the law of attraction or the power of intention, and they'd shrug and go, I don't know what I want. And I found that to be a cop out, but let's put that aside for a second. I would say, well, you know what you don't want, right? Oh, yeah, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be unhappy. I don't want to be fill in the blank. Wonderful. That's now the first step. What don't you want? Write down your complaint. Your second step is to turn the complaint into an intention. So you reverse the complaint. If you wrote down, I don't want to be broke, what would be the intention? I want to be wealthy. I want to be financially secure. If you wrote down, I don't want to be alone, what would be the opposite? What would be the intention? It would be, I want to find my soulmate, or I want to start dating, or I don't want to feel alone. If somebody is unhealthy, that's what they wrote down as what I don't want. I don't want to be unhealthy. What's the opposite? I want to be healthy. So the second step is to turn the complaint, which was the first step, into your intention. The next step, the third step, which I think is my great contribution to the whole self-help world, that is get clear. And you know get clear because get clear is the essence of coaching. It's the essence of zero limits living. It's the essence of what I teach. You get clear of the blocks to you achieving your intention. This is the $1 million formula right here. And step three is cornerstone to getting results in your life. So step three is get clear. Step four is to nebulize your intention. And nebulize is a coined word. I invented it to honor Neville Goddard. Neville, as he's typically known, taught people instead of just visualizing what you want to have happen, and visualization does work, mental imagery does work, but Neville said something faster is to act as if what you want has already come to pass. You feel it real. So if you want to be healthy, imagine what it'd be like if you were already healthy. How would you feel? How would you move? How would you strut as you went about your day? Or if you
Mhm.
said, I really want to be wealthy, instead of imagining wealth off in the distance, pretend you won the lottery yesterday, or pretend you inherited the money, or pretend you just opened your bank account and there is an astonishing amount of money. It's already there. How do you feel? You're feeling it real. That's Nevelize your goal. That's step 4. Step 5, swinging back to your question, let go while taking inspired action. You let go of your need for things to work out in a particular way. You're still taking action. You're taking inspired action. There's an opportunity, there's an intuitive nudge. You take it, you move forward. But you're not moving forward with the addictive feeling that, boy, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to die, or the system doesn't work, or coaching doesn't work, or the secret doesn't work, or Dr. Joe doesn't work, or Tom lied to me, or any number of things that actually stir up all the limiting beliefs that we still want to clear. So letting go while taking inspired action is more of a mental mindset. You take inspired action, trusting that the action is leading you in the direction of your dreams, but not needing it to, because any action you take moves you forward. You're going to
Mhm.
get feedback from the action, and then you take more action based on that feedback, and you keep going to achieve or attract your dreams.
Right, right. Well, right along with that, what role do beliefs and self-image play in healing and manifestation?
They play a 100% necessary role. I have repeatedly been telling people for decades you live in a belief driven universe. What you're getting is based on your beliefs, but your beliefs are unconscious to you. You've already been wired, and now you're living from that software programming, the software of your mind. And you don't question it because at this point you think, well, this is just how life is. This is the way the world works. No, it's not how life is. It's not how the world works. It's how your world works. And it's working that way because of your beliefs. And I always point out to people when we're born, we're not necessarily blank slates. We come in with a lot of pre programming. The science of epigenetics says that we've got wiring, we've got beliefs, we've got DNA from our great, great, great grandparents, just downloaded right into us. And then I point out, depending on where you were born, you are unconsciously, because you have no awareness when you're a baby, that you're downloading the beliefs of the culture of the country you're in. And you're downloading the beliefs of your parents. And I often say, were your parents Mr. and Mrs. Buddha? And everybody laughs. It's like, no, our parents were not Mr. and Mrs. Buddha. They were not enlightened. They didn't know anything about beliefs. They still had their own baggage. They had their own programming, and you absorbed it. And then you go to the school, you absorb beliefs from the school system and from the people in the school system. Same thing with the media, it's in the air. Same thing with religion or the culture, whatever you happen to be in. So by the time we get to an adult, and there's somebody that is participating in this call right now, and they're listening to both of us, watching both of us have this fascinating dialogue, and they feel like, I can't get my results, or I'm stuck, or I keep hitting this same block. They have never thought that maybe it's because of their beliefs and because the beliefs are not actually facts that can be changed.
Mm.
They can be changed with some awareness, some of which you can get on your own. There'll be people watching our interview here, and they'll get these little ahas because of something you said or become something I said, and it'll cause a breakthrough. They'll have a little mini satori, a little mini awakening, and they can move forward in getting more of their dreams to come true. But if they do even more work, they read the books and apply what's there. And even more importantly, they get in a coaching, mentoring program. They get in Zero Limits Living, for example. Now they got help. They got an ally. They got accountability. They got resources. They got somebody who believes in them, somebody who urges them on, and somebody who shines a flashlight on the beliefs that were there in the blind spots of their mind all along. And when that happens, Now you can have a transformation.
Right.
Now you can start to more easily achieve your goals as you move forward through this. So for me, beliefs are the building blocks of your reality, and they can be changed with help.
Right, right. And that brings me to this thought. I watched The Secret in 2012. I loved how you got in our face in that movie a little bit about everything we attract into our realities from our thoughts, for feelings, words, actions, and energy.
Mhm.
And then there was one gentleman in there. He almost died in a plane crash, walked out of the
Yeah,
hospital,
yeah.
8 months later. And that's when I believe changed my belief. You mean your mind can heal your body? And so since then, I've been on a wellness journey. And then I attracted and manifested you into my daily experience. So I'm incredibly grateful. So that really leads me into my next question. What does Mr. Fire, Dr. Joe Vitale, do on days when you don't feel aligned?
That's a wonderful question because we really want to look at the humanness of the situation. And I want people to know I'm a human being. I go through the ups and downs of the life experience. I'm 72 years old as we make this recording right now. And so I've had decades, and I've already mentioned that I went through homelessness. I already mentioned I went through poverty. And what I didn't mention is, we went through the pandemic. Went through it too, just like everybody else. The only difference is I also went through a divorce during that time and through the death of my father, death of my mother, death of my best friend, and a family member attempted suicide, shot himself, all during that same period. So
Mm,
I know what it's like to have yourself walk through life thinking, well, I got it handled. I know where the sunny side of the street is, and then you fall in a ditch. Or
mm,
then it just not only rains on you, it floods and you're in the flood. I know what that's like. So what do I do? Well, the very first thing is I've got to be kind to myself. I've got to be gentle with myself. I've got to remind myself I am a human being going through the human experience. And it is okay to feel sad. It is okay to feel grief. It is okay to feel sad. Those are human emotions. I think that it's only a problem when you stay with them and you
mm,
don't let them go through you and move beyond them.
mm,
So that was one thing, is to just allow it to be and be gentle with myself. Another thing was the mindset that I came up with this little line or lyric that just basically said, one day at a time, it's all fine. One day at a time, it's all fine. And I would say that virtually every day, going, don't worry about the future because we can't predict it. We didn't know at that time where the pandemic was going. I didn't know where divorce was going. I didn't know what was happening in my own life during that time because everything was being morphed into something else. And we
mm,
couldn't see the next step, but I could see the day. I could see the moment. And so one day at a time, it's all fine. And I tell myself even today that same statement. And then there's the tried and true statements that we've heard throughout history that this too will pass. This too will pass. And as
mm,
we stop now and reflect on it, it's like, oh yeah, it did pass. Oh yeah, divorce, it's passed. Oh yeah, all the things I was concerned about, worried about, it's passed.
mm.
So being in this moment, being gentle with myself, keeping my eye on the ball, so to speak. And I'll say this, it's coming to mind as an inspiration early on in the divorce, which ended up being a very, I can't find the right words to say how exhausting and emotional and devastating in many ways it was. And I remember early on in the divorce, and I've got these two attorneys who are well known, well experienced. And I said to one of them, I said, look, this is your life. This is your living. It is not for me. This is entirely out of my comfort zone, so to speak. This is entirely foreign to me. I said, what is the best advice you've ever heard on getting through a tough time like a divorce? And the attorney thought for quite a while. And then he said, focus on the future. Focus on the future. At some point, what you're going through will end. This too will pass. One day at a time, it's all fine. So be thinking about what do you want to do next? What do you want to create? How do you want to be? How do you want to live? So I do all of those different things. And of course, I also know sometimes you just need a nap. Sometimes you just need to go jump in the pool. Sometimes you just need to go play with the dog. Sometimes you just need to go for a walk. Sometimes you just need to play some music and dance. Sometimes, in my case, I need to go for a walk and have a cigar. Sometimes I need to do something completely different, which is one reason why I enrolled in mixed martial arts when I turned 71, and I'm still going to it now. I'm working on my red belt next. It's to give me a diversion and a break to help keep me in the flow of doing what I want for me.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. What a great answer. I have a question here that's a little bit out of left field, so we're just going to let the universe answer it for us. But
All right.
if there were one thing I'm not asking, but I should ask, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a similar question that I throw at people when I interview them at the end. I'll say, "Hey, what was the question you wanted me to ask and I didn't ask?" And it usually causes them to do what I'm doing, pause and reflect. I would say it's something along the lines of, Joe, have you discovered the secret to life? Have you discovered the the formula that already or always works? Have you arrived at that conclusion that this is the piece of the puzzle that if everybody had this piece of the puzzle, all would be well? Have you found that, Joe?
Wow. Amazing answer. Well, one of the things I did also want to discuss with you is um, you said you got a coach. How long ago was that when you got your first coach? And then when did
1985.
when did you first begin coaching?
First of all, these are great questions because I like talking about coaching. I started my own coaching program about 20, almost 25 years ago. And the
Hmm.
reason being is I saw the results that I got in my own life. As I had mentioned, I had struggled quite a bit. I mean, for decades trying to do it on my own. And then I met a coach in 1985. And this is unbelievable, but she's still my coach today. She is in her 80s and
Hmm.
she doesn't even take clients anymore that I'm aware of, but she has been with me since 1985. So she's seen me through some tremendous downs and some tremendous skyrockets up. And I saw the value and how rapidly you make change when you have a coach. So I started
Hmm.
my own coaching program, whatever I said, 20, 25 years ago. And of course, as you know, we're bringing clients from all over the world. We're changing lives. Zero Limits Living is the real ticket to helping people get those breakthroughs that they can't really get on their own.
Hmm.
So, what was the other part of your question about coaching?
I just when you got started and then when you started were the main questions that I asked.
Oh, yes. Okay, I answered them then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. You were fantastic. Um, and one of the things that I have really marveled at, and I've watched many of your videos, and you've made videos for the coaching programs and courses that they can follow while they do face to face with you or some
Yeah.
of the other coaches in the program. One of the things I marvel at is when you create content, or even in this conversation, it just flows out of you. There's
Hmm.
no hesitation. There's no slowing down. There's no what am I going to say next?
Right.
And can you explain to me the practice of Ho'oponopono, which I've been doing every day? Today's day 50.
Oh, good.
I do it
Great.
all day, every day.
Yeah.
Just runs as a program in the background.
Yeah.
Here's what it means to me. Anytime that I say those four phrases, for those 3 or 4 seconds as I play them through my mind, I'm completely present.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's how I'm feeling the clearing, and I'm bringing things into my daily experience
Yeah.
that I'm aligned with and that I'm grateful for. How did you come to understand it from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I love Ho'oponopono, and I'm so grateful that I've been the guy to bring it to the masses because of my first book, Zero Limits, about it. And then I wrote three other books about Ho'oponopono. Then, of course, the movie Zero Limits is largely about Ho'oponopono. And I talk about Ho'oponopono anytime anybody gives me a mic. I'm ready to just belt out the four phrases and explain how this works. I first heard about it, I think, around 2004. And I dismissed it because I thought the story I heard was of a therapist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals at a state hospital for the criminally insane in Hawaii. And the way the story went is he didn't actually work on them, he worked on himself. And it didn't make sense. As much as I was even believing in miracles back then, and I was reading everything under the sun back then, and I was hearing about magic and miracles all over the place. I couldn't really swallow that one. It just felt like it was an urban legend. Something was missing. But I heard the story again another year later, and I thought, if there's any truth to this at all, I need to find out because the world needs to know. And then I went looking, and at that point, there was nothing on the internet. There were no books about it. It was very underground, grassroots, very limited, very mystical, very quiet, reclusive. I don't even know how to explain it. You may not know this, but I hired a private detective to find the therapist because I couldn't find him on my own. And he did. He found him and gave me the phone number for him. And I was living in Texas at the time. The therapist was in California. I called him up. I called him up and I said, "Are you the therapist that was at the mental hospital?" And blah, blah, blah. And we had a wonderful 45-minute conversation. And he invited me to the next Ho'oponopono workshop, which was in California the following weekend, I think. I got on a plane. I flew there. I attended it. There were 5 people in the room, and the therapist was leading the event. His name was Dr. E. Haleakala Hu Lin. Dr. Hu Lin for short, sometimes just Dr. Lin. I loved him. We connected. He was like a lovable, mystical grandfather. And he was very open to me, and I was very mystified by him and this weird thing he was doing called Ho'oponopono. And he said it's basically, at its very simple core, there's 4 phrases. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And he says you say them inside yourself as a kind of telephone conversation with God, with the divine. He always said the divine, but it could be the cosmos. Napoleon Hill called it infinite intelligence. Whatever word floats your boat is the kind of word I would say. So God, the divine, something like that. And I started to practice it, and I was very skeptical. It's like, how can these simple 4 phrases, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, change anything, let alone heal mentally ill criminals at a hospital where they're shackled and sedated because they're so dangerous? This did not make any sense. But I started practicing it. And I remember the very first night of that little tiny event with Dr. Hulan, I started to get a urinary tract infection. And I thought, well, let me try the 4 phrases right now. And I didn't have them memorized. I had them written down on a little yellow piece of paper. And I would look at them and I would say them and I would go to sleep saying them. And when I woke up, the infection was gone. And I thought, maybe that's my first tiny little clue of evidence here.
Mhm.
And of course, long story short, I ended up writing the book with Dr. Hulan, the first one, Zero Limits. And I ended up doing three-day events with him over a 10-year period. And he has since passed on, so he didn't know that the movie came out, Zero Limits, but there's a little cameo of him in that movie that people can see. So long story short is Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian healing system. It is basically a spiritual technique where you are working on your inner perceptions, your beliefs, what Dr. Hulen called the data in your subconscious mind. And as you're cleaning and clearing and changing that data, your belief system, with the 4 phrases, everything on the outside of you reflects the change. In Ho'oponopono, there actually is nothing on the outside of you. It's all a mirage. It's all a illusion. You're almost like the movie projector, and you've been projecting out this reality that seems like it's real to you, but it's actually just an illusion that's coming from your own projection from inside of you. So Ho'oponopono is to change the perception. It's changing the projection. In
Mm,
fact, Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian word that means to make right. And what are you making right? Your perceptions of the world. I love Ho'oponopono. If somebody doesn't know about it, well, see the movie Zero Limits at zerolimitsmovie.com. Get the first book. That first book, oh, that's caused almost a cult-like movement. The first
mm.
book was called Zero Limits, and Dr. Hulen and myself are the co-authors on it.
Sure. Well, with Zero Limits Living, and I think you did a second book with Dr. Hulin
Yes.
at
Mhm.
Zero. Tell me what it means to get at zero and how Ho'oponopono facilitates that.
This is what it's all about for Dr. Hulan is we want to remove all of the data, which you can consider to be limiting beliefs, so that you are at what we call zero. What is zero? That is the place of unlimited possibilities. It's one reason that the whole mentoring program I have and my last book was Zero Limits Living. It's called Zero Limits Living. It's all about living from this place of zero. When you're not at zero, you're still coming from limitations. The limitations are in your subconscious mind. Most of the time, we don't even know what they are. We just live from them. And we
Mm,
speak from them. And we never even hear that we're speaking our own limitations until somebody, like a good coach, reflects it back to us. So Dr. Hulen said, in any moment, you're either coming from memory or you're coming from inspiration.
mm,
99.9% of the time, you're coming from memory, which
mm,
means everything that you're saying in every moment, everything you're doing in every moment is just a variation of something you've already done before. And it makes a whole lot of sense because we've already done it before. Our brain goes, well, that's safe. Let me say that before because it worked before. Let me do this before because it worked before. Let me act this way because it worked before when I acted this way. We're just coming from the repetition of a program. But when we clean that memory, that program, that limiting belief, we allow room for an inspiration from the divine. And what is that room we've created? It's zero. It's zero. Zero has no limiting belief. Zero has no um, data. Zero has nothing in it as a rule, as a boundary, as an impossibility, because zero is God. Zero is the divine. Zero is where we want to be, because as I keep pointing out, and I'm trying to demonstrate in my own life, when you come from zero, anything is possible. Anything.
mm,
The only time we start to say, oh, that's not possible is we've come from a memory with a limitation.
mm,
That's what would cause us to say, oh, you can't do that. Why can't you do that? If you're zero, or another way to look at this is if you were God, would you speak of impossibilities? Being at zero is being God, not the God of the universe, but the God of your universe.
right. Right. Well, I've watched a number of the presentations that you and Dr. Hulin have done. I'm an avid lifetime learner. When I first came on board, I was doing a role, and then it became part of me. And now I'm helping out with some of the mentoring calls,
Awesome.
and you and Chuck have been so gracious to uh, putting me on the path to become what you call a Sherpa. And for
Yes.
those people who don't know what a Sherpa is, the literal definition is someone who helps you climb to the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
So, in the metaphorical or metaphysical sense, Dr. Joe and the Zero Limits team, we help you get to the top of your mountain. And so, as I've gone through this process and I'm meeting on Zoom with people from Poland and Denmark and the US and Italy and France, I relay my story of how I met or learned about you in 2012 and the movie, and then the fact that I get to work with you and I've admired you and followed you for 14 years, and so to be able to help people help themselves. One of the things that I like to say all the time is that transformation happens through you, not to you. What does that mean to you, that statement? How can you explain that to someone?
Well, transformation is not like you drove to the store, bought a new jacket, and put it on. Transformation is more like you are experiencing life in a particular way from the inside out, and
Mhm.
you have changed that perception on the inside of you. So everything inside of you is now different because of the new way of looking at the world.
Mhm.
Another way of putting this is when I was homeless, I remember I didn't have enough money to get on a bus, which was like 60 cents in Dallas, Texas. And Dallas was extremely hot. I was born and raised in Ohio. I was not used to such extreme heat in
Mhm.
Texas. And I looked out into the world and I did not see goodness. I did not see opulence. I did not see opportunity. I did not see abundance, which was one reason why during that period I was suicidal and even took a shotgun at one point and almost ended it all one night. Uh, that's that I'm glad I didn't go through.
Wow.
And
Absolutely.
so that person is transformed into this person. This person who's sitting here, he's still named Joe Vitale. I got all the memories of the experiences I had as that person, and I can report on them. But I look out into the world, and it's like it's full of opulence, it's full of abundance, it's full of golden opportunities, it's full of joy, it's full of sunshine, it's full of this amazing gift that has been given to us. That's
Mhm.
the transformation. It's
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. The last thing that I wanted to say is when you're working with coaches or working with people in the zero limits community, one of the things that you say in a number of your videos is that I want the best for you. And,
Yes.
and I think one of the things that keeps resonating, and I keep hearing back, I get feedback from folks about you. And one of the things that keeps coming up over and over again, and I really wanted to share this because it means the same to me. You're such a genuine, authentic, and loving human being. I am
Oh,
so glad you're in my world, and I
oh,
consider you a friend.
oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, I didn't expect that. Thank you very much for the compliment.
Welcome. You're
I'm
welcome.
grateful. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to keep it short and sweet because I want people to be able to just plow through this and share it and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
If you want more information, you can reach out to me. The information will be in the description, but just so you know, it's tom.b@joevitalecoaching.com. Get into our energy, get into our world, get into our love, get into our gratitude, and we want you to be able to radiate that out into the world for you and your family. Anything in parting, Dr. Joe, any last minute words of wisdom you wanted to share with everyone?
There's always something, right? And there's so many different things to say. It occurs to me that I feel compelled and inspired to remind people that what they're going through, what you, the viewer, are going through right now is temporary. Life itself is going to change it. That's the nature of life. There's movement here. People are making decisions all around you. It's going to influence you. So you're going to move out of whatever you're going through. But if you, or let me change that, when you get into coaching and you get an ally and you start making decisions and declaring intentions, you warp speed in the direction you choose in life.
Hmm.
So there's the opportunity to just sit there and life's going to change and you will be nudged out of wherever you're at into something else. But
Hmm.
it'll be blind and it'll be random and it'll be unconscious until you awaken and make a
Right.
decision to get a coach, a decision to start making intentions, and then an intention and decision to take inspired action. When all of that happens, you can expect miracles.
Wow. Wow. Can I close this in a quick little prayer together
Of
of thanks?
course, yes.
Okay. God, I just want to thank you for bringing Dr. Joe into my time, space, energy, and life. I'm so grateful for him. I'm so grateful for the work that we're doing with amazing human beings around the world. And I hope to continue to change lives every single day. And thank you for being here in our presence in this conversation and for everything you do for us every day. Amen.
Amen.
Namaste, my brother. I
All right. I will see you in the future. Thank you, Tom.
I care
Great.
about you very much. Take care.